Hello again. Now, in this video, I'm going to address something that's been bugging me since the last video. My storage wall is coming along beautifully, but there's one thing that's not coming along very well. Let me show you. This is where I'm keeping all my tools at the minute. I built this workbench and it's probably the most solid thing I've ever built, and I love it. I want to put 6 drawers in, or cupboards or something, but I priced up the drawer slides. And you're looking at £180 for the drawer slides. I can't afford that at the minute. But I also can't afford to have my favourite tool just sat on top of other tools. So in this video, I'm going to address somewhere to put this. One of the problems I'm facing at the minute is I'm running out of wall space. I'd love to have more French cleat walling, but I haven't got the room. This is technically wall space on the side of my bench. My original plan was to just put some screwdrivers and things on here, but I never use screwdrivers. Power tools! This is where the track saw is going to live. I'm going to make it all out of scrap, because I like free things.
Like I say, this is going to be built from scraps. So here I'm just using some scraps of pallet wood and propping them up at an angle. Now I don't need this to hang at an angle, but because the blade protrudes through the bottom of the track saw and you can't retract it all the way because of the guard, I need some kind of space behind it. So I thought I could either have the whole thing boxed off the wall or just angled. I want to tell you exactly what I'm doing here, but there's a massive aeroplane flying overhead. Pretty sure it's just doing laps of my house. I don't realise I'm trying to grow a channel and organise my garage here. Some people are so rude! Right, now that aeroplane's finally cleared off, this is the sort of thing I'm going for. Oops. Now, under here I've just put some blocks to prop these up, but I want it angled and don't need a massive lip, but a lip so that the weight of it sits on this lip, but then it's angled in so that it doesn't really need any hooks or anything. Now, this is all very rough at the minute because it's just scraps. I've got to figure out the angle here because I want this to sit flat on there. As we all know by now, I am incredible at calculating angles. I just impress myself sometimes. That's a lie. If you've just started watching this channel, I am not good with angles. So what I figured out was if I had this propped up at the angle and I used a square edge and laid that on my table, which I know is perfectly flat, I could then mark the angle on the piece of wood. Then over on the miter saw, I can transfer that mark onto the top, and then I pull the blade down, it's not on, and then I push the wood up flat to the blade. Now that that edge is flat to the blade, I then angle the blade until it lines up with that mark I made on top. Now this, in theory, should work. In theory, but we all know my life.
Who needs maths? Who needs maths when you've just got a weird brain? Now I've got that angle, I can do the same on these 3 pieces. Easy. I do need maths. I said 3 pieces, so I need to do it on 2.
This is how I know I love my track saw so much. I never sand stuff for the workshop, and yet here I am with sandpaper. I eventually give up on that and switch to the orbital sander. My main reason for sanding is purely for the gluing. I do plan on gluing this project. I don't always, but the track saw is quite a heavy little beast, so I am going to reinforce it with glue as well as use screws. I'm not going to use brad nails on this one, just the pure might of glue and screw. And here we are with the glue part. Now I'm putting some glue on one side. I'm not putting the bead all the way down because I am leaving some areas free to put some super glue or CA glue. On the other side I'm going to spray activator. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm in a bit of a hurry, to be honest. I haven't got much time and I didn't want to have to pocket hole this or anything. So I've put the wood glue on. Now I've sprayed the activator on the other side, although the bottle's nearly empty. Anybody got any ideas what I haven't put on? Any at all? Any at all? Because this idiot hasn't. Anyway, we'll revisit that very soon. Here I've cut 2 lengths of pallet wood. This is a bit wider than the other pieces, which is perfect. These are going to go on the side and basically kind of give it some rigidity and some structure. Now this is initially going to be bolted onto the side of my workbench, but eventually I hope to find some room to put more French cleats, so I want to have this kind of structure as a whole able to be moved to somewhere new.
I just unclamped these. I was like, why haven't they stuck together? Maybe I've got some dodgy super glue. I can't actually remember putting any super glue on them. Activator usually works really well with super glue. Idiot. Wipe the glue off, I'm going to do it again.
With all my parts cut to size, it's now just a case of assembly. I'm countersinking some holes ready to put some screws through the bottom. I'm going to glue this as well, but I'd just like to get all of my screw holes in the right place first. I often put glue on first, but I am getting a bit fed up of cleaning the glue off the countersunk bit. So I'm just lining everything up and screwing it. Now is a good time to mention that I am fully aware that this angle isn't severe enough that track saw is going to sit on there nicely. The motor for my track saw is kind of top heavy, so this isn't going to hold it completely, but I have got a plan for that, and it's really simple. Somebody mentioned a couple of videos ago, keep it simple, stupid, and that is my absolute idea here. I didn't want to just put some hooks up to hang the track saw on because it will eventually scratch and damage the galvanized bit of the metal, so I have to come up with something, but it is still simple, I promise.
That little angle trick worked an absolute treat. All of these line up perfectly at the top. All I've got to do next is just come through and glue and screw these onto the side. And then what I thought for a bit of extra security, I chose some wider boards here. And then I can put a little extra band of wood there just to act as a lip. I said I didn't need one, but I do like to kick things a lot. Nearly done.
And the Muppet wasn't wrong. He was nearly done. So I use a mixture of clamps and pre-drilled holes and screws and glue and just put the sides on. The only reason I'm using clamps is to just keep everything secure. I didn't want to lean on it too much. But it's literally just gluing and screwing everything together. The angle you use if you create this project yourself will depend on the width of the boards you're using, but using that angle trick, it really doesn't matter. Just cut everything to the lengths once you've found the angle you're after. This is a really straightforward project. At least it would be, if you weren't an idiot.
I know why. I didn't check that the edge on this was straight before I... Easy fix. Just classic me. If we go back under there. It's nowhere near square. That's what happens when you just pull scraps off the shelf and try to be lazy.
Not learning my lesson about the whole laziness thing. I literally just unscrewed it and then screwed it back on so that it was square. And there's a slight lip hanging off the bottom. Do I care? Nope.
Okay, one thing I didn't account for is this. This changes some kind of angly thing that I haven't actually played around with yet. Now, I could take it all apart and I could get rid of this front piece. I said I didn't need it anyway. Or I could just cut a groove where that lies and then it should all work. Seems like the easiest solution.
And it was the easiest solution, so that's exactly what I did. I never really planned on having the lip, like I said at the start, so I hadn't really thought about that, but it was a really easy fix. I just used a saw and cut a bit out and then just gave it a good whack with a chisel until there was a notch there. The final step to this, if you like, is just attaching it wherever you want it to go. So all I'm doing is pre-drilling some holes and screwing it straight to the structure I've got. Like I said, eventually it'd be nice to throw a French cleat on the back of this and then hang it somewhere, but at the minute I haven't got any wall space available. I've got a plan to have some in the future, but it involves me kind of rearranging the garage a little bit. Because of the fact the chop saw is top heavy with the motor, I'm just using a bit of scrap plywood and a small piece of wood that's attached to it and a screw, and this is going to be like a little latch, if you like, just to hold it in place. The bottom and the slant gives it all the support for its weight. This is just going to lock it in place and stop it kind of tipping backwards. Easy fix, no need to overcomplicate things. The other thing I wanted to address was the wire, and I hadn't really thought about this at all when I built this thing, but I found a really easy solution. I've got these old fence post brackets, so I just put one at the top, one at the bottom, and then I've got something to wrap the wire around. Easy.
And there you go. I can't exactly say it was a glamorous project, but it was done in under an hour and required very little skill, with only a few screw-ups, but I'm used to that now. If you've got anything from this video, please give it a like, a comment, a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. The channel is flying at the minute and it's all thanks to you guys. Love you to death. Laters.